break down Drake a little bit more here. Taylor put some film clips together, some film slides, together. They are
careful.
They are not videos. They are clips taking a look at Drake's third down struggles as well as his final drive struggles in this one. Taylor mentioned that the passer rating for Drake was poor, but also just, on that note, before we dive into it, his second game with a fewer than 62% completion percentage yesterday. Also his first game under 100 or under 200 yards. He had been Mr. Consistent all year long. So noteworthy there as well. And then was 14 to 23 for just 155 and 1 interception on the day. But we are going to start with these third down struggles, Taylor. We will start with the 3rd and 7 completion to Kayshon Boutte. Literally, we've talked about that, making this a flip book and just putting them together, sell them that way, put the little thumb things on the side and just flip right through it, and there you go. But Patriots overall, 5 of 10 on third down, which is about their average, but, a couple of them here, both Drake and the Pats in general struggled. So take us through it. What'd you say?
Yep. 1 second.
Nope, you're good. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you right there.
Okay. So this one was a 3rd and 7. And really, I want to start this off by looking at some of the specifically third down struggles. Now, the Patriots saw a decent amount of man coverage in this game, although most of what the Bills played was too high zone. And while you typically think of the Patriots against man coverage, you think they don't get a ton of separation. I didn't feel that was really the problem. It just felt to me like the offense was out of sync, whether Drake wasn't really on the same page as receivers at times. I thought that really showed, especially early. And like I mentioned, there were plays where I thought things looked kind of wonky, but still he didn't really pay for them. This is a pretty good example of that. So 3rd and 7. Early in the game, this is the first third down that they faced. Now, we're going to look at the top of the screen with Kayshon Boutte one-on-one against Maxwell Hairston. Now, the way all the corners are lined up, it's pretty obvious that they're playing man coverage, the Bills, but they've also got 2 high safeties. So you don't know, are they going to be in 2-man, which is something they actually played a lot. You don't see cover 2-man very often, especially there was that one drop back where Drake may scrambled and burned them for it. But it's a very hard concept to pass against if you don't see it coming, because defenders are going to be underneath playing inside, and then safeties are taking away any kind of go balls or anything on the sideline. So is this 2-man? Is this cover 1? Well, we'll see post-snap that they actually are going to drop one of these safeties, and it's going to turn into a cover 1 single high defense. Now, as you can see, they drop this safety and they match the pattern the Patriots have kind of in breaking over the middle. So Drake Maye is going to see that, knowing that the safety help is deep to this side. He's going to go to his one-on-one matchup with Kayshon Boutte. But here's the thing. You can see Kayshon is looking like he's getting ready for a back shoulder ball, right?
Yep.
When you're looking this early, you're not winning vertically, right? You're kind of just trying to box out the defender, put yourself in position to turn around along the sideline. Instead, Drake is actually going to lead him down the sideline. Live, I thought this was for sure going to be an incompletion because
it did.
Like Boutte was expecting something shorter, and Drake clearly put it downfield. But this was an incredible adjustment from Kayshon Boutte, because Maxwell Hairston in the play looks back to track the ball thinking it's coming. That allows Kayshon Boutte to be faster, because when you're looking back for the ball, you can't be quite as fast. So Kayshon Boutte accelerates, is able to actually stack the defender, and then makes an incredible diving catch to secure this one. But again, it looks off, right? Because he's looking backwards. Drake Maye's leading him vertically. And we saw a similar miscommunication with Matt Collins on the next, or on a 3rd and 1 later on in this actual quarter. So 6 minutes and 44 left in the first quarter. This is 3rd and 1. Now, I don't mind the aggressiveness here, but you look really bad when you're not actually able to capitalize on it. So right here, going to get Maxwell Hairston again, but this time he's going to be covering Matt Collins, who started as the number 3 receiver to this side with the other 2 wideouts, but then motioned so that he's next to Hunter Henry. Now, what they're going to run here is what we talk about a lot on this show. It's that double out concept where you're going to get the tight end running a stick. They disguise it a little bit because you have this motion, so the formation doesn't declare itself until a little bit later. And then Matt Collins has the option to either run a quick out if it's soft coverage, or he can go vertical if he's going to get press coverage, and that's actually exactly what's going to happen here. And once again, you have the Bills in a 2-high shell, but you're going to see once the clock starts to wind down and the snap almost comes, they do rotate down into a single high cover 1 look, as we see here. Now, once again, they're trying to take away this in-breaker they're assuming is going to come from Stephon Diggs. Now, he's running a vertical. You got an under on the opposite side of the field. really what we want to pay attention to is the bottom, right? Because you do have the safety coming over the top, but you also have room to the sideline where you can still deliver this ball to Mack Hollins. Now, Mack at this point, I give Drake Maye a little bit of grace here because he's clearly throwing this with anticipation. We've talked about if he's even, he's leaving. So sure, but the way he throws this, he actually puts this one back shoulder, which I thought was a little bit odd considering Mack isn't even looking back at him. And that's usually where a lot of these come. And sometimes when the chemistry is really good, you can throw a little bit earlier and your guy adjusts. But Mack is going to end up winning vertically because he's going to beat this press coverage and get over the top, thinking that Drake is going to lead him. But again, Drake is going to throw this back shoulder. And then what happens is, again, Mack Hollins has won. He's got the vertical separation, but the ball ends up behind him. He tries to make an adjustment on it. Yeah, but it's not even in his vicinity. So another third down where you get away with it earlier, then one drive later, this miscommunication they end up paying for and have to punt despite the fact you've got 3rd and 1 because you're not quite close enough to midfield for that to be the kind of situation where you're willing to get brave and go for it. Now, the final third down that I want to break down here was the one to Hunter Henry. Now, this was partial responsibility for both guys. It bugs me more because it feels like Hunter and Drake have been off at times pretty consistently over like the last month plus, where they'll have 1 or 2 plays where you see the chemistry, where Hunter Henry's super reliable in crucial moments. He reads coverage and Drake is hitting him with anticipation, and these guys are on the same page. But then there's times where, you know, there's either a miscommunication or in this case, one guy's a little bit off and the other can't help make up for it. We actually saw this against the Giants in the red zone, where there's the out that Hunter Henry also dropped, but it was thrown behind him. I think this miss was more egregious, but also a situation where when we asked Hunter Henry about this after the game, he was, you know, he's a pro and he was really forthcoming with, you know, how they need to move on. But when this play came up, his demeanor kind of dropped and you could tell he was very disappointed in himself because, you know, Drake didn't put him in a great spot, but he also didn't take advantage and it was another missed opportunity. So the Patriots are going to come out in their 2-back look. Whenever they do this, other defenses are pretty much keen on the fact that they are really going to try to usually chip the edges, right? Because they want to get a little more time for Drake Maye. And Hunter Henry is going to be inside as the slot receiver. But because it's an obvious pass situation, you're going to get him covered by Taron Johnson, a slot cornerback. Now, once again, the Bills showing 2 high safeties pre-snap. Post-snap, they're actually going to stick to that because they're actually this time in 2 high man coverage. And what did I say that meant for the cornerbacks? They're going to play inside and underneath to try to take away anything like their cross dagger routes or these middle field routes that we know the Patriots love. But Hunter Henry does a great job because earlier he did one of those routes and it was completely covered up. This time, he's going to kind of lean inside and give a little bit of a chicken wing to Taron Johnson to create separation, as you can see on this outbreaking route. So he has separation. Drake's going to throw it, but he doesn't throw it. And there's a little tiny bit of anticipation here because Hunter Henry isn't looking for the ball. But what ends up happening is Drake throws this high and behind him. But as you can see, this ball right here, can I zoom in? I don't know if I can. I might mess up the entire video. I don't know. But you can see that Hunter Henry has to go up and behind him. It's in his hands, but unfortunately goes right through. I don't know if you can see the ball is somewhere over here and Hunter Henry's hands are empty and they're not able to take advantage. And this is a really crucial situation. Again, the 3rd and 12 in a situation where they really needed points. And in this one, they were forced to punt. So just another example. And also you had, we'll touch on it earlier, but this was that drive where they had, I believe this was where they had the penalty that actually knocked them into the 3rd and 12. So it was disappointing to see one that for whatever reason, even though Mack Hollins and Kayshon Boutte have very good chemistry with Drake Maye for the most part, it was weird to see them not be on the same page on these vertical routes where they've had so much success. And then when you have a moment where you need guys to make a big play, where Mike Vrabel mentioned it, we had opportunities and we didn't take advantage of them. That was a prime example. And it's something that's happened just too often, considering, again, Drake Maye is young, so there is going to be some inconsistency, but you expect Hunter Henry to be automatic, and unfortunately, he wasn't in that moment.
Yeah, I will say that Hunter took full accountability for that one. He was a pro's pro after the game. He was asked about it. He said, I got to catch that. That's on me, what have you. Not that I would expect anything less from him. He's, been a captain and an aging veteran and understands, what you do and what you say in the locker room, but he did take blame for that one. I got to tell you guys about our friends over at PrizePicks, because this episode of Patriots Daily and every episode of Patriots Daily is brought to you by PrizePicks. As you know, it is the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. We got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, and so much more. And while you and I are out here making decisions every single day, there is only one place where it feels good to be right, and that is on PrizePicks. We got a Monday night football game in football tonight. It is the Dolphins. It is the Steelers. We got Tua versus Aaron Rodgers. Snow game at Gillette Stadium. And if you want to get in the action for that game specifically, you can do so right now on the PrizePicks app. Just download it, use code CLNS, and you will get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS app to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, Taylor, let's keep it going here on the Drake Maye train. The final drive, and I know we're going to just break down a couple from that final drive where they went 4-0 and ultimately lost the game. But over their final two drives, the Patriots offense had nothing. They had two opportunities to go down, go score some points. Instead, they went 3-and-out and 4-and-out. Drake Maye specifically was 1 of 4 combined on the two drives with 2 sacks. I know we're going to touch on the final one here, but kind of wanted to encompass that with they had their backs against the wall a handful of times and could not get it done. So specifically on those final drive misses, what did you see from Drake in this Patriots offense?
Yeah, this is an opportunity, it felt like, for Drake Maye to really make his MVP case. And Unfortunately, he came short. Doesn't mean that he can't do it in the future and learn from this. And obviously, that's been the message, is to learn from this loss and not to let it beat you again. But it was discouraging to see how many missed opportunities the Patriots had on this drive, starting here with a 2nd and 5 situation. Now, we're going to want to focus on the top of the screen. That's really what Drake Maye is going to be working here. Kayshon Boutte at the top, Stephon Diggs as a slot receiver, and Hunter Henry detached from the formation. In the backfield, we're going to have Ramondre Stevenson. The Bills pre-snap showing a too-high look, and based on what they're doing up top, it looks like they're going to be running some kind of zone coverage, potentially man to the bottom of the screen. Now, post-snap, Drake is going to be looking more towards this side of the field again, where he has the 3 receivers. The Patriots are going to be running 2 in-breakers, 1 crosser from Diggs, in-breaker or dig from Kayshon Boutte, and then what they'll often do is have Hunter Henry sitting at the sticks. But the Bills are going to go from that too-high look and drop this safety who's going to sit right on this out-breaking route or kind of option-y thing from Hunter Henry. Yep. And then you've got the middle linebacker matching the in-breaker from Stephon Diggs as Drake is trying to read this one out. Now, not only are his 2 main kind of looks covered, but you've also got a little bit of heat coming off of this edge, again, as Stephon Diggs is getting matched. Now, I like the idea here for Drake Maye to kind of slide to his left, and you actually see him start to target Ramondre Stevenson underneath. And where's Ramondre? Right at the sticks. Mm-hmm. He talks about this all the time, Drake Maye. I want to get the ball to the athletes so they can make plays because they're better runners than I am, and they can take hits, which we don't want Drake Maye doing.
Right.
Instead of throwing this, though, maybe he thinks he has a lane here. He's going to tuck this and try to run, but instead of getting anything on the play, he gets sacked for 0 yards. Earlier in the game, he scrambled and threw the ball away just before he got out of bounds, which was a smart play, and I credited him for. Here, he thinks he's getting some kind of positive yards, doesn't, and he actually ends up going down when he could have converted. And this is magnified by the fact that they ended up facing 3rd down and 4th down and not being able to convert on either one of those. Now, speaking of that 3rd down, this was right after the 2-minute warning. Mm-hmm. Now, here we are going to get, this is kind of a funkier look. I'm not even 100% sure what the Bills are running here, but the players we're going to focus on are Kayshon Boutte, matched by Maxwell Hairston at the bottom, and then Travion Henderson in the backfield, and Teron Johnson in the slot. Now, why am I highlighting this? It looks like Teron Johnson is covering Hunter Henry in the slot like we saw earlier. That's not what's happening, though, because they're actually playing a form of zone coverage to the top where he's going to pass off Hunter Henry, and then Teron Johnson is actually going to match a vertical route from Travion Henderson, because what they're essentially running is 3 verticals with these 2 guys going downfield, and they're trying to get Travion Henderson matched up against the linebacker, create some kind of mismatch. That's not going to happen because, one, Bills, again, are in a 2-high disguise zone coverage. They stick with those 2 high zones, and then post-snap, you got Hunter Henry, pretty well covered here. Mac Hollins, also well covered. And there's just nowhere to really go here because Travion Henderson is running the vertical, but Taron Johnson's right on top of it. Now, Drake is looking to Travion, and he's going to try to lead him, but looking at this live, it's funky because Travion kind of looks over thinking the ball's coming. When it isn't there, he kind of slows down and looks like he's totally confused, like kind of that rookie glitch thing we've seen him do at times.
Yeah.
And as you can see to the bottom, this isn't a great look, but you have wide open Kayshon Boutte at the bottom because this linebacker is matching the vertical route from Hunter Henry. Instead of coming backside and realizing this is a pretty cloudy look, I should probably move off and try to get to my backside receiver, Drake is going to force the throw. And even though Travion Henderson pretty much slows his route down right around here and doesn't get much further, Drake leads him all the way to about the 45-yard line. And once again, this is not necessary and even close to the target receiver. And you have Kayshon Boutte wide open past the sticks for a conversion. Instead, Drake is going to once again try to hit Travion Henderson, and the ball lands all the way here on the 45-yard line with Travion Henderson well short. So that was a pretty glaring missed opportunity and an option where I thought Drake may had the time to get back to his backside receiver, Kayshon Boutte. Now, before we get into the fourth down play, the final missed opportunity that last drive, I want to briefly mention something that happened in the third quarter. Because the Patriots ran the same play that they did on that final snap as they did here on 2nd and 10 with 1:49 left in the third.
So this is the third quarter.
This is the third quarter.
One. Okay, perfect.
This is the third quarter. Now, it's just going to preface it because, again, it's the same play. Yep. Now, this time, this is a look that if you study the Patriots offense, you have a decent idea of what's coming. When they have these stack looks with Stephon Diggs underneath and Hunter Henry kind of sometimes will go off the line, but really kind of detached from the formation. They're trying to run some kind of route that gets these guys open on either a pick or an option route. Now, this time, because you've got Austin Hooper at the top, the Bills are going to end up matching Hunter Henry with Matt Milano, and they're going to show it's one high. It's one high. They're showing one high, and it kind of looks like it's going to be the safety on Hunter Henry, but really he's going to be dropping down as more of a robber kind of technique. So post-snap, you can see it works. This rub route from Austin Hooper helps Hunter Henry get wide open, and the safety has a decent angle on this, but if Drake Maye puts this right on Hunter Henry, you're still going to get a pretty positive gain. Instead, Drake completely misses on the throw, ends up throwing it directly at the safety, who he's very lucky doesn't intercept the pass, but good job in theory trying to take advantage of what looked like an open middle of the field, because again, look at all this space. Yes, you have the safety, but even if he wanted to go underneath the Stephon Diggs, you had an option to do that. But again, hits the safety in the hands. It gets dropped. Jordan Poyer is clearly very upset, as is his teammate. And Hunter Henry's looking back like, what just happened there?
Was there someone behind me?
Yeah. So this was one of those missed opportunities we were kind of talking about earlier. But here's how it's going to come up and why I thought this was more than anything a great play by the Bills. Now, to be fair, 4th and 5, again, this is the last snap of the game. Mike Vrabel did mention that he basically wished that the receivers had gotten more separation on this play. I'm going to get into, I think he's talking about Stephon Diggs, but I also just think that with the Bills, how they defend this, it created kind of a no-win situation where Drake had to kind of work some magic to make anything work. So we're going to be focusing here on Taron Johnson covering Stephon Diggs, and this time they've got Cole Bishop covering Hunter Henry, a little bit more of a coverage advantage for the Bills. Now it's going to be the exact same play, but this time the Bills are clearly showing a single high look, so it's going to entice one of those middle field throws, but they're going to have both of the guys that they have on the edge in this 5-man look dropping into short zones, and that's going to completely cloud the middle of the field and take away Drake's primary read. So one, it's super cloudy before you even get to the dropping defender because he kind of has to work underneath Matt Collins, who replaced Austin Hooper as the pick man. So Drake looks left initially. That doesn't look pretty. Then he looks right. But again, you've also got a dropper here. And so I think Stephon Diggs was trying to create contact and then separate. But what ends up happening is once he tries to go upfield, the defender isn't close enough for him to make contact. So when Diggs goes back downhill, the defender pretty easily latches on and is able to trail him. There also looked like some indecision. I don't know if this is an option necessarily where you have the freedom to just get open or what happens. But bottom line, it's a great call from the Bills because they completely take away the middle of the field. Drake looks back once again to see if maybe Matt Collins is open, but he doesn't even really run a route. He's very clearly just trying to set a pick and not doing much. So Drake tries to make some magic, gets outside the pocket to the right, and actually looks like he's going to have an accurate throw to Stephon Diggs, but great job by Joey Bosa, who had originally dropped, coming down, keeping Maye from just running the ball and getting his hands up to ultimately bat the pass and stop the game and seal this one for the Bills wound up sealing it on offense, but stealing that possession from the Patriots. So while you can point to the schematic changes the Bills made maybe in the second half, pressure, no pressure, there were some untimely ones, I will say that. Bills didn't get a lot of pressure. It felt like every time they did, it took away an option. Like Kyle Williams got wide open on a dig. Kayshon Boutte got wide open on a dig. There was one more play, too, where the pressure kind of screwed them over. And it was, Mac Hollins was running a shallow crosser against a linebacker. I thought Drake might have stayed on Stephon Diggs a little bit long on a follow route because Teron Johnson was sitting on it. But you have Badarian Lowe losing inside. Ramondre Stevenson loses in blitz pickup, which you very rarely see. And Mike Nwenu was blocking, but looked like he was trying to basically get a looper. And then he wound up getting sacked when he maybe could have gotten the ball out there. So the pressure, the few times it got there, was significant. But really, I thought the biggest issue was Drake Maye's accuracy, specifically his ball placement, / rapport with receivers or being on the same page or out of sync or whatever. Because I don't always want to say it's inaccurate if,
totally.
It wasn't good execution from both sides, but something was off. And then on the last drive, you have opportunities to win the game and you don't take advantage. Those are the kinds of things when exacerbated by the red zone defense and the run defense not being able to make stops and the kickoff unit not doing their jobs, it just makes everything a lot harder. So in the blame pie of this, I'm not putting it all on Drake Maye, but I would say he's probably second on my list because you're the quarterback. You get the ball more often than anybody else. And you weren't able to capitalize on opportunities that were kind of at times handed to you on a silver platter.
And when you're in the MVP conversation and everyone wants to, talk about Drake Maye and he's the best and, Drake Maye, all that stuff, and you get all the praise, when shit doesn't go your way and shit doesn't go your team's way, you do have to take part of the blame, frankly, whether it is your fault or not. And so, that's what happens. That's how it goes in this league. And, frankly, I think you can only hope that, instead of faltering, which I don't think he will, Drake Maye will continue to learn from this and grow from it. He also did have some solid plays, at least on the ground game. Patriots run offense had one of their better games of the season yesterday.
Their best. It was their best, and it wasn't even close. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the best game of the season. We'll touch on those a little bit in tomorrow's show. We'll get to some of the good of what the Patriots did in a different show tomorrow. But frankly, today is about what went wrong, and so we will get to that. But yeah, like not Drake Maye's best showing. Could have been a lot better. Team as a whole could have been a lot better. And that's what happens, like Mike Vrabel said, when you play another one of the better teams in the entire NFL.